Here, order in the court. That's right. I have declared that guns and ammunitions and other live fireable rounds will now be second-class citizens. Hold on. I hear the cascading boos from the rest of the peanut gallery, and I'm here to rest assured that the male species, the male part of our race, will continue to be at the forefront, the epicenter, if you will, as the head of this patriarch. It's within the definition. Now you may be saying, but what about our women? What about those who are representing the other side? They have been passed by the aforementioned live ammunitions and guns. For now, they are third-class citizens from henceforth. Why are you not cheering? What's going on there, kings, queens, everybody between? It's your boy MFC back at you with another cozy, rebel-rousing round of the Fiction Is Not Real podcast. But it's not just me. I'm honestly in the back this time. Hey, everybody. Way over here. Today in the forefront, we have one Rohan Sora.
Was I supposed to say something? Sorry.
He's
gonna go in, son?
And one Senor Joe. That's what you're gonna do? You got on him for not doing it, then you gonna sand back? Okay. All right. I see the black man's gotta work 3 times as hard.
At least I said something.
Damn, worthless drone.
I'm being honest. I mean,
honesty is something that's not going around here in America. Don't you understand? If you want to climb to the top and you want to be successful in this country, you lie. You lie until you can lie no more. You lie so much you can't even stand again. You'll never know what a vertical base is in your life. But I digress. So as we all know, much like a Band-Aid, we might as well just go ahead and rip it off because the scab is going to heal eventually with or without its protection. Roe versus Wade has been overturned by the Supreme Court here in the United States. So a lot of people very upset. A lot of people very disgruntled. A lot of people on both sides of this thing have taken what happened and they've tried to manipulate their verbiage in order to reflect some weird, let's just be honest, DEFCON 1 scenario of what happened, just to, I guess, exaggerate what happened so people could take their side. For example, on one side, you have people saying things like, this is what was needed because aborting and murdering, because they love using that word murder for a unconscious individual who could potentially be living in somebody's oven. That'd be their womb, for those of you who are not up to snuff on code. But someone who is not, what's the word? Doesn't have a soul yet. They're just a bunch of chemicals in gulag in the gulag.
Well, that's where the fundamental disagreement is. I mean, it's like a unbridgeable gap, I think, in society.
Of that, I'm aware.
Where we decide where life begins, you know. But
because I have seen this other comment coming around from the other side where it shows that dead bodies, you know, if you want to be an organ donor, even if you have the organ that they need, if you're not an organ donor and you never consented to that, then the fact that you never consented means they can't touch your body. Even if your body is the key to saving someone's life, they legally cannot touch it. And people are saying, wow, I can't believe that dead people have more rights than women. But unfortunately, that comic also brings up the counterpoint of, but what about the fetus, though? Because then you would equate the fetus to the dead body. Then, that once again, whole other cavalcade of questions and words, and people having their own conceptual disagreements about the comic that was clearly dividing for one side, which is now, in some cases, backfired. But I digress. Sora, you've been rather quiet. You've had someone who has been shaken to their core living in your household. Like, how are you guys holding up? You good? Like, what's with that?
Oh, like, in the back of my head, I was pretty much already sure this was going to happen. But just to actually see it happen, I can't believe this is my piece of shit country.
So I understand that a lot of people are very upset because so some of you may be watching this, maybe not from the States, so maybe you don't know what Roe versus Wade is. Long story short, way back in the 60s, I want to say it was like 69, Norma McCorvey, or as many people know her under the pseudonym Jane Roe, became pregnant with her third child, and McCorvey wanted an abortion, but she lived in Texas, where abortion at that time was illegal except when necessary to either save a mother's life or there was going to be some sort of complication that was going to lead to death of either the baby or the mother in any way, shape, form, facet, blah, 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 blah. Now, her attorneys at the time filed a lawsuit on her behalf on the U.S. federal court against her local district attorney, Henry Wade, alleging that Texas abortion laws were unconstitutional because it was taking away the bodily autonomy of the women within that state. Now, a 3-judge panel of the U.S. District for the Northern District of Texas ruled in favor that, yes, we do think that these abortion rules are unconstitutional. The parties appealed this to the Supreme Court, in which the Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision holding that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution provides a fundamental right to privacy, which basically protects a woman's right to abortion. And the court also held that the right to abortion is not an absolute and must be balanced against the government's interest in protecting women's health and prenatal life. So essentially, at that time, people were upset, people were disgruntled. And once again, as Sora and Joe talked about and alluded to earlier, that brings up the whole thing of where does life truly begin? Because obviously, whatever you pick is going to be based on some arbitrary statement. Some people,
in the end,
okay,
I really don't care. I don't care if any of you consider life beginning at conception or some arbitrary fucking moment in time during the pregnancy. It doesn't matter. This is about bodily autonomy. You are taking away their bodily autonomy. And I don't think people realize what that exactly means.
Well, of course they do. Of course. Well, okay, I won't say of course they do because I see some daft motherfuckers, but people having autonomy over your own body means if there's something that's going into your body that is going to affect your body, that is going to either, I guess, if the label says enhance your body, at the very least, you have control over what you're getting into your body, what you're doing to yourself. You are in control of thyself. If you feel as though you need something, you consent to it first. Because once again, we always talk about slippery slopes. Sometimes it's definitely hyperbole, but when you talk about slippery slopes, if the government is able to tell you what you could do with your body today, and it's, let's just say, abortions are off the table from the federal government, okay? Or if for whatever reason in your state governments at the state level say that abortions, they're done. You're not doing it. It's banned. Whatever, right? Who's to say the next day that the next time there's a pandemic and you need to get a shot, who's for them to say they're not like, hey, either you take the shot or you're out? Once again, slippery slope. Don't think they would do it because obviously the people who are very pro-life as opposed to pro-choice, they're not really big on the vaccine as a whole as a party. I'll just say that much right now. But it's something that could happen in the future, especially with the Supreme Court having the most unchecked power out of the 3 houses up there when it comes to the 3 branches. Because let's face it, folks, they could vote 5-4. It could be 7-2. But if whatever they so happen to decide, these people are sitting here on lifetime sentences, by the way. They could be up there for as long as they see fit or until God calls them to the upper room. Whichever happens first, really.
And now they're apparently allowed to just fucking commit perjury, and it doesn't matter.
Because they could say one thing, then they can turn around and say another thing when it conveniences them. And there's always that, like, I don't know, there's always that little gray area that people like to talk about where is it hard to be unbiased as a judge when you clearly have political motives from a political party either way, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or wherever you may hail from? You might have some ulterior motives, some conflicts of interest in terms of being honest and doing what your political ideologies may incentivize you to do to help your air quotes party. But I digress. Because it's weird. Because I don't know if you guys have seen the aftermath, I guess I'll say, on Twitter and various other social media outlets. People are championing certain judges like they won the Super Bowl. Hell, politicians are acting like they won the Super Bowl over this decision. Like they're saying we're going to go out and we're going to celebrate because this is a big win. Like hell, you even had Glenn Jacobs, who many of y'all may formerly known as WWE superstar Kane, went on Twitter and said, this is a big win. This is huge. This is going to be a huge win in ushering in a new, more, let's just say, a new era of greatness to Tennessee. And they're talking in such grandiose fashion about this dub that they've secured. And it's like, but y'all didn't do nothing. It was these group of 9 people. Oh, God, please don't go there, bro. That's the last thing that we need to hear right now. And obviously, some people think that this is obviously hitting on the 14th Amendment, so they could take away any other thing in the 14th Amendment. But they technically have not taken anything away. They just let it up. They just let it be up to the states. And the state governments are now going to be able to decide whether they're going to be pro-life, pro-choice, or somewhere on the spectrum in between with as many asterisks and technicalities as they may want to fit into their legislature. But what I want to know, guys, is if that's how they're going to go, does anyone find it weird that like elections are coming up and now this is a huge hot button issue that is definitely going to determine whether or not people are going to be able to stay in office for next year? Or every 2 years from now, every presidential cycle, because it seems like these are hot button issues that people are going to be willing to move for. Like I'm not just talking about, oh, we have a crisis, so we got to go to a state that allows X. No, I'm talking about they're leaving. They're going to uproot the family and go to another state.
Don't blame them.
And trust me, it's not just one way. It's not just going to be liberals moving out of red states. No. There's going to be several people in blue states who are going to be moving to red states just based off of this by itself. And I think this is a very interesting, because I don't know when's the last time an issue gets passed like this where people are willing to just uproot themselves. Because I know a lot of people are influencers, like out there who are very always, championing women, pro women, blah, blah, blah. But it seems like now a lot of them have even come out and said that they're just going to move out of the country. Which, on one hand, you could say that, you can't blame them. But on the other hand, it's like, you just giving up? You're not going to continue fighting the fight? Like... And I'm not saying that there are people who aren't fighting the fight. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are definitely some who are never fighting any fight. They just said stuff on Twitter. And that was the extent of their jurisdiction.
Well, and there are also people that are like, they're not U.S. citizens. They're like here for their careers or whatever. It's like,
oh, I know.
I don't blame you getting the fuck out.
It's like, some of you, this wasn't your land to begin with. Y'all just came here and was like, oh, whoa. This goes against everything I thought this was. So then y'all rolled back like some netcode and y'all are going back there or going somewhere else. Maybe it's Canada. Maybe it's somewhere to Eastern Europe. Don't know. Could be Western Europe. Don't know. But to get back on topic here, I just want to know, you two gentlemen. So I know Sora said that he does not care if you're pro-life or when you believe conception begins, blah, blah, blah. Can you elaborate? Can you truly punctuate this point to the masses?
Well, I was also trying to think of it in the sense of if we take this concept to the extreme, if they believe that at the moment of conception is when the egg and sperm form together, then is it negligence and murder for the woman not to do her absolute best to take care of this other person whose life depends on their actions. So then you're policing what the woman does at all times. And now you've just made a slave. A sex slave. Congratulations.
A sex slave.
Actually, maybe that's just what they want.
Okay, I'll admit that's an interesting take. I did not see that one coming. But if you believe that, you're saying that they're making a sex slave. We do know for a fact there have been people who have been arrested for doing the nth degree. And like, once again, this is a very nth degree thing here.
That's that.
Oh, wait. Oh, Discord did that thing where it muted my mic. They can't even hear me. Give me a second. No, I'm sorry.
He did actually die.
No, Discord did the thing. I was here. Anyways, to get back on topic, I heard you, but also say, okay, that's an interesting take. Didn't expect that one, but I will ask you this. So, if you truly believe that, in a sense, that you would be policing them to the point of them being a sex slave, how do you feel about and now granted, this is an nth degree thing, but people are charged and have their charges upped from being a pregnant woman who was also doing meth. So she wasn't only hit with the meth charge, she's also hit with child endangerment. Like, then what do you do?
I wouldn't be surprised if some states fucking actually implement something like that.
Because I'll tell you something that was messed up a few years ago. She wasn't convicted. I want to keep this in mind. She was not convicted. But if this article sounds familiar, it's because it went viral for a while. This is in 2019. This is right before the pandemic. There was a woman in Alabama who was charged after losing her unborn baby in a shooting. She was not the trigger person, by the way.
Wait, what?
Okay. Here we go. So basically, Marsha Jones was arrested on a Wednesday for initiating a dispute last December that led to another woman shooting her in the stomach. So basically, she was getting, in somebody's face about something. And the other person decided self-defense and shot her in the stomach, which killed the baby. So the charges against the shooter were dismissed after a failed indictment, but pro-choice groups are now saying that it shows how the state's new restrictive abortion laws can affect other cases. So this case being something different, she was 5 months pregnant. Miss Jones was involved in a fight with Ebony Jemison outside of a Dollar General. So, you guys probably know the vibes. And according to police, the argument began over the unborn child's father and resulted in Miss Jemison eventually shooting Miss Jones, leading to her miscarriage. Miss Jemison faced a manslaughter charge that was dismissed after a grand jury failed to indict her. Because even though she didn't die, there were still charges against the shooter for the baby as well.
Yeah,
the baby was never even like the target. Because Miss Jones, she was arrested for manslaughter and taken to the Jefferson County Jail on a $50,000 bond. She was released on Thursday after posting the bond, so people still had to put money up.
I mean, it's not that uncommon of a thing because, I mean, there's many instances of like men being charged with double homicide for killing their pregnant girlfriend or pregnant wife or,
The more Reader's Digest comprehensive breakdown of this whole thing, though, is they were both charged, one being charged specifically for the reckless endangerment of their child, to even have the gall, the nerve, and the audacity to start a fight while having something cooking down there. You put the child in danger, and therefore she was charged for the manslaughter of her own child. That's basically what they're surmising there. And the other one, the reason why the charges were dropped against the shooter is because it was in self-defense, because she was the one that was not the instigator. She was the one who was basically ruled in self-defense, defending herself in use of the handgun. I didn't really want to talk about this case because it's definitely a weird one. But if y'all want to go look it up, go look up the 27-year-old woman, Marsha Jones in Alabama. I'm sure everything will 100% hop on and you'll be able to see it. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is specifically because of Sora's point. Where is that line? Do we start policing what they eat, their diet? Do we talk about what type of cosmetics they put on their skin? Like, when does it become quote unquote criminal negligence? What if they're out and they're having a party and, she's got like, a couple of cramps and she decides she wants to throw back a couple of martinis? How far do we go? Because let's be honest, especially for young adults, sexual education at an all-time low. I think we can all agree on that. Sorry, people under the age of 22. Y'all are stupid. Y'all make rash decisions. Y'all think that y'all are adults because you can drive. No, you could drive at 16. That doesn't mean you're an adult yet. Some of you think that you could drink, and that qualifies you for being an adult. No, that is incorrect. There are some people who will drink themselves into poverty if you let them. Not an adult. Not responsible. They did not send their best. So I just think that's a little interesting tidbit. But Joe, what do you think?
I mean, specifically responding to what, I guess?
Specifically responding to the fact of, do you think this is going to be a later follow-up of where is the line? Do you think we're going to need to establish a line? Or do you think that this is more of just a isolated type incident where it won't matter where they believe life starts? Okay, basically what I'm asking you essentially is, do you believe with the sex slave point that Sora was making earlier?
I mean, I believe that they'll push it as far as they can take it.
So you are saying they will take this to the upper limit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's... I have no faith in the Republican Party to do anything but abuse their power as much as they can. I mean, any fucking politicians, Democrats are the same way. They just push their power in different directions. But
yeah, we've heard for months these justices' opinions about things until it's time and again. Oh, it's fine. Roe is a precedent. We literally just have video evidence of them fucking lying.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Supreme Court is like just fucked. It's like institutionally, and like the system around its formation and the way that justices are elected put into their position of power. The
it's
lack of a term limit
from the American people.
It's for how much power they have. There is so little oversight.
Now, some of y'all love to bring up the fact that McCorvey lied, and I think we should actually look into that a little bit, because Norma McCorvey, aka Jane Roe, basically at one point told the press in 1983 that she'd been raped. Later on, a few years later, she then told everyone that the rape claim was untrue. Jane Roe, soon after the decision was reached, also said that she had sought an abortion because she was unemployable and greatly depressed. Wow, that is starting to sound like a lot of people. Oh, oof. Woo. Folks, check on your loved ones. Because that sounded like you're going to be hearing a lot of that soon. But a lot of people like using that, though she made those statements and then was untruthful 20 years after the case, that this should have been enough to go back on the decision because it was made on the behalf of a liar, a deceiver. When they know that in no way, shape, form, or facet throughout history has that really ever been something that people have used as a precedent to go back, unless it was directly correlated with brand new evidence for an old case.
Yeah, I think it's a bullshit argument, because you can't, like, Sure, the case was made maybe on false premises, but the argument itself was still, of sound.
Because here's the thing. If it's coming down to the states, that means it's not illegal. Which means the only thing that's truly changed here is that some women will be extremely inconvenienced. And I don't know if you guys know that, but you see how they say that a lot of people on the Republican side have been arguing that this means it's more freedom because the federal government isn't restricting what you could do with your bodies. And it's like, the problem was they weren't restricting, they were giving you the option of a choice, which is the opposite of a restriction.
Yeah, it's a protection.
What was the word they liked? It was a freedom. Wow, that's insane, brother.
It was a right guaranteed to you by the federal government.
Now, granted, should we ever have put in place rights that require, things about autonomy? No. But they have to be something that we have to have because, let's be honest, the average human being, very selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to put these things in writing in your society. Otherwise, people will fuck around and find out on their own pretenses.
Like there's a reason.
Especially under capitalism.
Yeah.
Like, look, look, we all know, like, everybody has a stupid law in their state. Right? We all know there's a stupid law in our state, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, there's one in Atlanta that has stood the test of time, and I love this one, okay? In Atlanta, it is illegal to tie a giraffe to a telephone pole or street lamp. Who got a giraffe just around and about? Now you may be saying, but why? That means somebody at some point, they thought about this. Someone thought about doing this, and it had to be written.
Yeah, this means it happened enough times that they needed to make
it was a problem. Yeah. Like, it was a problem for somebody. There was some, like, rogue zookeeper who was just, like, fucking corralling in,
Like, in some places in Florida, it is illegal to fish while driving across a bridge. Now, who in their right mind is fishing out the window while driving across the bridge? Because obviously, when you're reeling it in and you're driving 40, you might hook something or you might hook someone. There's plenty of things that can go wrong, but this is something that has to be written out. Because, like, I can fish and I can drive across this bridge. Why can't I do both? At the same time, you see? And it's stuff like this where sometimes, yes, you have to write these things down. Like, there's a stupid law in Georgia. It was in Gainesville. I'm not sure if this is still an actual law, but chicken had to be eaten with the hands.
What?
So I'm assuming if you were eating chicken and you busted out chopsticks, you go into jail. Because I'm like, but what if you got like chicken soup, but there's chicken in it? Like, do you have to eat the soup with your hand? Like, these are the questions that I would have for that. But there's a reason why a lot of these laws are written in a very specific way. And when it's something that's important enough about the autonomy of women and what the powers that be are allowed to have over themselves, because here's the thing. I'm a guy. I'm a dude. I don't know if y'all knew that. I have the testicles. Sorry, guys. But the truth of the matter is this. I don't believe that I should have a say in what a woman could do with her womb because I don't have one. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that feels like. I'll never know. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to know. This is not me signing up to say I want to know because I don't. Much like how most of y'all don't know how it is to be kicked in the testicles. I wouldn't wish that on any of you. Any of you who don't have testicles to be kicked in, you should count that as a small blessing. We are like walking Death Stars. We may be able to cause a lot of havoc, but we have a spot that if you hit it, it's over. It's GG. That's the end of Star Wars. Once my Death Star blow up, I'm out. I'm good. I'm done. I'm gone. There's no more fighting. I'm gonna be on the ground going, oh, 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 and I might pass out. There's a reason why in combat sports you're not allowed to hit below the belt. It's not good.
To get back on topic, basically what we're saying is our opinion on this matter is about as valuable as 6 out of the 9 members of the Supreme Court. So
right now, like we're just talking about what happened and evaluating what happened. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, what's right, what's wrong. I'm just saying it looked like a carny show. All right, it looked like Sideshow Bob and the gang. Is what it looked like. Especially with the, once again, the aforementioned celebrations that one party was having over this monumental victory towards progress. Progress towards what? Not sure. Because a freedom for some people in some states has been removed.
mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people are saying that they're going to come for other cases next, but unfortunately, we will get there when we get there. But some people are talking about they might get rid of interracial marriages. They might get rid of, you know, being able to, quote unquote, segregate schools and other institutions. And the interracial relationships one, that one is hilarious to me. Because if there's anything I know about the white man, y'all love yourselves some Asian women.
I mean, it's really fucking hilarious with Clarence Thomas's opinion after the ruling and how he mentions court cases for gay marriage and all this other shit.
Well, how does he manage them? I haven't followed him for that.
But he specifically doesn't bring up Loving versus Virginia. And would you look at that? It's about interracial marriage. Oh, what's Clarence Thomas' wife look like? Oh yeah, fucking white ass bitch, an insurrectionist white ass bitch.
that is scathing. That is. Where's this sword been all our life? Like, hello, what you get? You fire one off. What you got? Say what you say with chest. Go on. Seems like you have something that you need to get off right now.
It's just, how is he still in power when we have literally evidence of her speaking to the people that we have on file were planning the January 6th riot and how they had plans to kill people. And yeah, he gets to make this big ass decision on women's rights.
Well, while I hear you, allow me to ask you this. I can tell you why. Actually, no, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm going to tell you why that is allowed to happen. I'll tell you why. You ready? Remember when Trump was trying to run for office? You remember that? You remember that period of time? You remember? You remember? You remember?
I try not to.
Remember how he told everyone that he was going to, quote unquote, drain the swamp, and everybody just truly thought that they were going to be able, wait, hold on, they were going to be able to get rid of business and its chokehold on our government by interjecting this man into the system. Wait, I'm not there yet. Wait, hold on, Joe. Seatbelt on. The lights on, Joe, in the airplane. Do not stand up in the aisle.
Take your seat, sir.
The seat belt sign is on. So, they say, in order to defeat big business having a chokehold upon our government and our freedoms, we are going to elect someone who is running as a businessman into office. And it was so successful that there were people around the nation who were running under campaigns under the slogan, "I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman or woman."
Yeah, because that's what draining the swamp was about. I don't think it was about taking big business out of politics. It was about career politicians.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you having these business people come in there, and it's like the business people are going to live for the business people as politicians have their wills bended to by the aforementioned business people. Because trust me, it takes a lot of money to run a campaign. It takes a lot of money. And who do you think are funding these people?
Mhm.
You think it's Jim Bob Fisher down the street? You think it's Tyrone Biggums from up north? Because I'm telling you right now, it's not. Although it is really weird. It is really, really weird when you find out who's running for what and when they're running. Because do y'all remember Kelly Loeffler, former U.S. senator? Y'all remember him?
Who?
Kelly Loeffler, Georgia. She definitely ran under the guise of, I'm not a politician, I'm a businesswoman. You may be saying, oh, she was in the Senate, eh? That's neat. Do you know who she's married to?
Oh,
The CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange. Running for politics ain't cheap, folks. So I think it's, let's be honest, pretty good to be married, to be the founder chairman of the CEO, or the CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange and chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. So it's not like they know the ins and outs of the dollar when they're running the stock market, but I digress. That's a different story for another day. But it's very interesting when you figure out who these people are married to and the conveniences of life that can
and then you
afford
look
you.
into their family history, and most of them are fucking slave owners.
Look, y'all got to remember, bro, like there are people who are born in like, let's just say 1960, right? 1960, right? Some people are like, yeah, man, that was 62 years ago. Do you know there are people who were born before civil rights fully kicked into high gear who still aren't senior citizens yet? Because I know they say that once you turn 55, you start to enter the senior age demographic, but you're not 60 until you're 65. You're not really a senior citizen because 65 is the most common age of retirement for your job.
Yep.
Well, it has been.
Well, it has been. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a time where you didn't live till 65. Yes.
We'll never get to retire.
Nope.
Oh no, it'll be 78 by the time we're raring to go. But being a senior citizen, for most folks, doesn't kick in until you're 65, on average. And going back 65 years, that puts us in 57?
I can't 57 right now.
Oh my God, man! Come on, have a brain. Just a brain. Just a little dabble. Do you?
There's nothing out there.
That's tough, buddy. That's tough.
Anyway, what the fuck were we talking about?
How are you okay? Do you have dementia? I'm talking about Memphis, Tennessee, April 4th. And I ain't talking about WrestleMania. I'm talking about the assassination in 1968 of Martin Luther King. There are people who were, let's just say, 8 years old when that happened, still aren't senior citizens. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Proceeds.
And some of these people,
a thing of the past.
And some people. There are people who are old enough who are barely senior citizens, who can remember when they were children and hoses were put on them in the streets. And they're still alive. They still have pulses. Some of them are still driving to this day. There are some people who are alive who are in support of the hoses being put on them, who are still alive, still driving to this day. And you want to know the funny part? Some of their parents, still alive. They're really old, but still alive. And some of their friends still have power in these United States. So let's not act like Martin Luther King woke up one morning and said, I have a dream, and then everyone sung Kumbaya and everybody was even. Just wanted to point that out because I do see a lot of people making this argument that, like you said, oh, it was so long ago. Like, people forget gay marriage has only been a thing for 7 years?
Yeah, it's a baby.
So, God can giveth. But old Uncle Sam can't take it away. That's all I'm
Clarence
saying.
Thomas. Fucking asswipe.
What's your beef with Clarence Thomas? Why him? Why him specifically?
You didn't about
this
his
is for the
response?
people. For the people.
Oh,
For the people.
'Cause-
I'm an orator for the people. You got, come on, man. It's like episode 6. You got to understand. Sometimes I'm going to ask a question so you can explain to the people, not me. Come on now. This is behind the scenes textbook text work here. So why him?
Because of his fucking response of the decision being handed down of, we should reconsider these court cases about same-sex relationships, not just same-sex marriage, but same-sex intimacy. Like, we should go back to early 20th century, like the shit that they were doing in England, fucking sterilizing people, and let's go back to shit Iran's doing. They just fucking kill gay people. I mean, that's what these people want at the end of the day.
yep.
So I know a couple of cases that he did cite, like Griswold versus Connecticut, which was in which the Supreme Court said that married couples have the right to obtain contraceptives. Also brought up Lawrence versus Texas, which established the right to engage in private sexual acts. And then Birchfeld and Hodges, which said the right to the same-sex marriage. And you got to start asking some serious questions about who you have in there with all that unchecked power. Because if they're getting rid of your ability to have an abortion in some states, what about the states who are going to eventually start telling y'all contraceptives are a no-go? Because I don't know if you guys have thought about this. I know there's some of you horny bastards who are upset and alone. Let me tell you something right now. If you thought it was hard, not talking about your penis, but if you thought it was hard to get a woman to want to sleep with you now, if all these go into effect, once again, if all, there's one big one that has already dampened your chances, by the way. But if the rest of these also follow in suit, you better start playing the perfect cell theme and put in front of cell's name, because y'all about to be perfect in cell. Y'all about to be alone. Y'all ain't got no shot. Y'all ain't got no chance. Y'all about to get cookerino. If you thought that the pickings were slim today, whew, just watch out. Just watch out. Because I know some of y'all may not know exactly what a contraceptive is. Some of y'all may not know about birth control options. But contraception does aim to prevent pregnancy so it doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean that it makes it a 0% chance of it happening. It dampens the blow, turns things down a little bit, but it's not a guaranteed certainty. Also, depending on who you ask, condoms are a method of contraception. So if they take the condoms away, then what do? And trust me, pre-ejaculate is enough to get a woman pregnant. So the old pull-out game is not as good and as safe as you think it is.
We do have to remember, states have done this before. Where like back in 60s and 70s, where a ethnic woman goes in for a surgery and suddenly she's infertile. How did that happen? And then, just for some reason, white women can't really get abortions, but it's really easy for African American or Latina woman to just waltz in and get an abortion. It's almost like we're fucking practicing eugenics. But like, it's not crazy to try and say that they will go that far, because they've tried to do it before.
Now, let me ask you this. If they do go as far as to look at contraceptives and they take them off the table, do you think they will only take away the pills and the medication things? Or do you think that condoms will also be on the chopping block?
Yes, also condoms.
Yeah, I think we've established this, push it as far as they can take
These
it.
are Christian theocrat fascists. They want America to be a fucking Christian theocracy.
Now you see how I walked it from the beginning, where we talked about the upper limit, and now I slow burn dragged it out of you guys to establish what the upper limit was. That's why I'm the host. That's right. That's right. No, there's no point to this. I just wanted to gloat. That's it. I want my flowers. That's all I'm saying. I want my credits. But even pushing past that, contraceptives, same-sex marriage, and of course, private sexual acts. Like, see, that one's weird to me. Like, are we supposed to have like a document on like, when was the last time you banged your wife? Well, you see, we did missionary last week. Like, is that like, what is the like? Do I have to live stream it on Twitch when I'm plowed? Like, what? When you say engage in private sexual, like, what does that like? Shouldn't they all be private? Otherwise, it's indecent exposure, unless I'm misinterpreting that. Or should I? Or are they trying to make it to where sex should only happen if the end goal is to produce baby?
Yes, that's more of their objective.
So, what you're saying is casual sex is off the table. Ranked sex only.
Yes. But also, you got to make sure the right people are having sex.
Yeah.
And by right people, we mean white people.
Because I know, what was this? This was back in like 2003, the Lawrence versus Texas. This is like in the Bush years. But I could have swore this was specifically like a gay marriage thing. Like, gay people couldn't, do their trombone thing in private, or as what they call it, at all, because sodomy in and of itself was considered a criminal offense. Which brings back to your point. Yeah, no, this was in 2003. That's crazy, right?
I think I would remember what you were talking about.
Even though most acts of sodomy are committed by heterosexual couples.
Because like, it hasn't been that long since Lawrence versus Texas. Like, that was like, I was in like, what, middle school at that time? Something like that, yeah. And you want to know what the funny thing is? Yeah, you understand. In 2003, they were like, all right, you guys can allow the fuck, but you still can't marry. Y'all had to wait, another 9 years before you could do that? That's tough. Y'all really going through it, man. Shout out to all my LGBTQ plus out there. Shout out to all the whip y'all going through it right now. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure I still have unprocessed trauma from high school. Growing up in Indiana.
Well, Indiana's got some weird rules and regulations in and of themselves.
Yep. Remember, our governor was fucking Mike Pence.
Shout out to Mike Pence.
Shout out to Mikey P, huh? Sometimes I wish the insurrectionists would have succeeded in their plan. In Minecraft, it would have been funny to do it in Minecraft, am I right? There had no violence, please.
Did you say no violence?
Excuse me, sir.
Were you having some sort of giggle there when you did that, mate? Like, are you okay? Like, as a fundamentalist, I have to ask these questions because I'm worried.
Whoa, you're a fundamentalist too? Just like Mikey P?
Yeah, man. Me and Mikey P got locked. But no.
The man that's not allowed to be alone in a room with another woman besides his wife. Like, he can't be trusted.
What is trust? But I'm sorry,
Like-
I can't even do it. So would you say, if you had to rate Indiana, just on a scale of 1 to 10, what are we looking at here? As a place to live?
I guess it depends on your lifestyle, and if you're like, if you're a straight white person, sure, it's a great place to live.
But y'all are white? Y'all are white.
Yeah.
Stop talking like y'all not white. So you saying it's a great place to live?
No.
If you're a conservative straight white person, it's a great place to live for you.
I see.
Like, the price of living isn't terrible. That's about the best thing about living in Indiana. But yeah, the politics fucking suck here. It's, I don't know.
Because I know in Ohio and like some other states, like they have actually put down anti-abortion laws, like just mere hours after the Supreme Court. Like these people are lying in wait.
Oh, they had laws that would immediately take effect.
Oh, I know.
when
Like
they
these,
came out.
they were watching this case like when, like when a team who's down 2 points in the NFL is all hugged up, holding arms, watching their place kicker go out there and try to hit the game-winning field goal. On one knee, like, come on, all right, and it's signed, sealed, delivered. It's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Ohio has it. Michigan, I believe, had some laws in place. I know Texas had some things definitely ready to go. Also, there's another thing that I thought was very interesting due to this decision, because, like, as we know, abortions aren't like the only thing that's on the table here, because there are plenty of reasons why you might have to terminate a pregnancy in its infancy that, you know, are for the woman's safety. But I digress. People are like really worried about these, because I didn't even know this was a thing that existed. Once again, not a woman, would never know. Had no idea that there was like pregnancy trackers, hormonal like these tracking devices where, let's say you were to travel out of state, get your abortion, and then like somebody's for some reason or what rhyme or reason decided to report you, they could then go and basically go to the people who you have an account with to track your periods, your fertility, because there's a fertility tracker as well, and check these things and see when you did it and use that against you in court. Yep. If it came to that. And that was a thing where I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I did not know that. See, that was one of those things where, like, I didn't even know that was a layer that you could have in the equation.
People,
but here I am
like,
finding it out.
People don't think about how much, you know, of their data and privacy they surrender to these, you know, apps and companies, like how it can be used against them.
Like Google?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if any of y'all have a Google phone, like Google Pixel, but Google, if you opt into everything that Google wants you to have, they have not only voice recordings, files, text messages, pretty much every password and everything that you've ever signed up with. They have logged emails. They have your browser history, especially if you're using Google Chrome. They have a lot of information to build an entire profile on you. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm sure we've all been aware of this. There's just something that is like, I don't know if it's the mics in our phones, but I know there's been like a time where you've had a conversation with somebody, and the only thing that's happened is your phone has just been sitting there, and you start talking about something that you don't even care about that much, but you have a long conversation. Your phone's nearby, and all of a sudden you get home and you start seeing a bunch of ads for that thing.
Yep.
And you hadn't seen ads for that thing in quite some time. But conveniently, after you talked about it, now you're seeing ads for thing.
I've had it literally happen like seconds after when I'm standing in the kitchen. We have a fucking one of those stupid Amazon Echo devices, and one with the screen, and it has ads all the fucking time. And we were talking about how to cook hash browns, and it literally like seconds later comes up with how to cook potatoes.
Because the thing that I thought was funny about it was like, so there's this whole thing where, have you ever downloaded an app on your phone that has no, and I mean zero reason to ever go near your camera or microphone, but it still asks for permissions for it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, this is a photo editing app. Will you give it permission to use your microphone? You're like, you edit photos? But it might be one of those apps that uses your data, or it's one of those apps that could potentially, you know, like if you get a free version of the app, you don't want to pay for the official version, they might put some ads on there and they could be selling your information for ad revenue. Look at Artesian Builds. They went under and they're selling people's entire information, and they're doing it because they can't do business in their state of operation anymore. And that whole thing was a mess in and of itself, but once again, I digress. It's a very interesting area in which we're playing ball in now, gentlemen. Very interesting indeed.
I hate living in interesting times.
You liked it back when things were boring?
Yep.
Were there boring times ever, really, or were you just not paying as much attention?
That's
like
why you gotta call us out like that?
I'm just saying, like, we've been living in significant times the entire 21st century, basically. Like, maybe the 90s were the last time things were, like, chill-ish.
But I also think, even if you look back on it, this may be hindsight being 2020, but still, I feel like we were just too young to understand. So, like, just the 90s could have been hell for a large group of people, but we weren't.
Oh, they were definitely.
We didn't have hell vision at that time. You
like,
don't hit hell vision until you're like 20.
People have a like sort of nostalgic view of the 90s for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it was still hell for a lot of people. Gay people had more representation, but it wasn't necessarily good representation.
Yeah.
There was still a lot of bullshit and a lot of just ignorance and prejudice, and still is, of course. But there was a lot more of it out in the open, which now is coming back, I feel like. But
you can hope. I feel like every time there's something like normal, like just, okay, I'm not gonna use the word normal. Every time something like serious happens, like what happened yesterday, it's immediately followed up by people's anger now being pointed towards some OnlyFans model getting fucked by some black dude wearing a Donkey Kong Country costume, and like I'm still trying to figure out like why that has taken like such center stage all over social media. It's like, yes, she's an amateur porn star now, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's just what she does. It's her career as a sex worker.
It's just wild to me that she can like show up and do like, a couple scenes, and there are enough guys out there willing to pay like 50 or 60 or whatever fucking shit she charges for it. And she could just disappear for like several years off the internet. And then when she needs money again, I mean, good for her, but it's just like, wow. That's a thing that happens, I guess.
Sure is. But alas, I think that's enough of an hour. Good job, gentlemen. You did great. You did great.
I don't feel great.
So the last time you felt great, DMC5 just came out.
You're not wrong.
That was the last time. And that wasn't even like a great. That was like a great where you felt distracted enough to where you didn't remember what you were mad at in the first place. All right. You probably haven't been ecstatic since Metroid Prime 1 came out. And man, that saying that out loud is, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that to you. My fault.
Wait, what?
My fault. I went too far. Maybe I said too much. And Joe, nah, you just got a game that came out recently. You got your Total War. You good?
I didn't even play that game yet, though, honestly.
But it's out though. It's tangible, and you know it's going to get good. So you have something to look forward to.
I do not know that. I do not know that because I do not trust Creative Assembly to deliver
But you
a
trust the community,
quality.
though.
Yeah, but there you can only do so much. I do not. I do not.
Never been happy.
I do not rely on Creative Assembly to create a better game than Warhammer 2 because that game is almost perfect for what it is.
The last time I was happy was when I saw the Forbidden West trailer. And I know what you're thinking, but the game came out after that. Like, didn't you like the game? The problem was, see, getting a PS5 was hard. Like, the battle wasn't worth it, and it just got to a point to where I realized something. I'm not buying a Sony PlayStation 5 for one game because there is nothing else on that console that I want to play that isn't already going to come to PC. So I'm just gonna wait.
Mm-hmm.
But 2023, I'll play it. Be a year late, but thank God. You know, I need to thank Elden Ring. Elden Ring, thank you. You've made it to where everyone wanted to play that game and make content for that game that I've heard almost not even a little bo peep about Horizon Forbidden West, which means it's gone unspoiled for me. And I know no one's going to talk about it. So thank you, Elden Ring. I appreciate you. Also, Elden Ring came out on PC day one, so you know. There's that.
I'm excited for Atomic Heart. Kind of. I mean, as excited as I get for a video game these days.
Hey, that's still excitement. Most people don't have that. Most people wake up every day and just go, another day on Hell Rock.
It looks all right.
But yeah, is there anything you want to take us out on, Mr. Sora? You good? Are you gonna hit us? Are you gonna hit him with a fresh? What are we talking about?
Nah. Yeah, there's nothing really else coming to mind.
All right, I'm not gonna lie. It's 50-50. I'm just gonna speak it into existence. There's a 50% chance I just cut the video on your and it just ends. There's a 50% chance that's exactly what I'm going to do. I do that. But that might be exactly what I did. Anyways, y'all take care.